Ever since he narrowly won the election last October, Brazil has been braced for a violent rejection of its new president, Lula. Last night, those fears came to fruition as a mob loyal to ex-leader Jair Bolsonaro arrived at the country's Congress, apparently hell-bent on storming their way in, which of course sounds eerily familiar after the events in Washington. Around 1,500 people were arrested, but quite what they hoped to achieve is unclear given the legislature was not actually in session. It did, though, amount to a striking attack on one of the world's major democracies.
Night had fallen by the time security forces reclaimed control of the institutions at the heart of Brazil's divided democracy. The Supreme Court, Congress and Presidential Palace were attacked, offices ransacked, a 3-hour storm of rage directed at President Lula da Silva, who returned to the capital to head a crisis meeting and to seize the political initiative. He called the demonstrators, hardcore followers of defeated rival Jair Bolsonaro, fascists and fanatics, intent on overthrowing his election. There have been 1,500 arrests amid fears of collusion by elements of the military police.
This is the clearest example of people actually demanding military intervention and an overthrow of a democratically elected president. And that has not been seen in the country since the return to democracy in 1985.
Brazil is dangerously polarized. Last October's election saw the far-right former military officer beaten by a razor-thin margin. But he's never conceded defeat and skipped last week's inauguration. His supporters believe the leftist Lula belongs not in office, but in jail on corruption charges. Tonight, pro-government rallies are underway. Bolsonaro has distanced himself from the violence, but can still face extradition from the US, where he's in hospital complaining of stomach pains. At his Florida base, well-wishers have gathered.
Thank you for being the most honorable person that was in our leadership in Brazil.
The protest camps in the capital have been dismantled, but the demonstrations and the disruption to Brazilian democracy seem likely to continue. John Ray, News at 10.